Thanks so much for joining us here at MeWe Fairs, your safe space for authenticity and transformation. We have events throughout the Pacific Northwest, many online, and we interview our practitioners and vendors so you get a chance to know who we are before you meet us at an event. I'm so excited today to be with Jennifer Wells. Jennifer, it's lovely to be with you.
Good to meet you.
So tell us, what is it that you offer in your work? What do you share at the events? And tell us about the whole range of the work that you do.
So my business is currently Empathic Shibari, and I'm both an empath and a Shibari teacher. I have been a Shibari instructor for the past 15 years, and one of the most exciting things that it has taught me is about my empathic skills and how they can be used in the studio. And I also teach those skills to my students.
Well, tell us a bit about Shibari because so many people that watch this video are going to have no idea what Shibari is.
Well, shibari is traditional Japanese bondage, but it is also spreading all over the United States. Sometimes when your friends tell you that they're going to yoga class, they're actually sneaking away to a little shibari class. Um, and what we're doing is we're learning how to safely put harnesses on the body so that we can hang people from the ceiling. And then once you're up in the ceiling, once you're hanging in the air, you can move around, and it's really fun. It kind of reminds me of a lot of stuff that you see in music videos these days.
Well, it's interesting. I didn't realize some of the context that you're sharing right now, and aerial work is so common. And so I'm linking now all the aerial work with Shibari. And um, so you've got ropes behind you, and you talked about people like hanging from the ceiling and things like that. Maybe I just want to invite you to just share a bit more about Shibari and like how it's, yeah, just if you can link all this stuff together for people, I think it'll be helpful so they have more context.
Mhm. Well, you have to start out slow and safe. And so I'm releasing a video series coming out pretty soon that is about how to learn how to do this safely. And we first start by just learning where it's safe to put the ropes on the body and how tight to put it on. You need it to be on like tight enough that you don't slip out and fall on the floor, but at the same time you don't want it so tight that you cause nerve damage or circulation damage. And so my classes cover all of that safety stuff, but we're basically learning how to put rope harnesses on our limbs first and then eventually on our bodies. And so we learn hip harnesses and chest harnesses, and all of that is to support our weight when we transition into suspension.
So and I'm just gonna like make up my own like awareness here. So definitely in terms of like athletics and artistry, it's
Mm-hmm.
used. And then as I said, bondage, like so it's also used in like arousal and just different kinds of feeling experiences that come up. And you do empathic shibari, so definitely leaning into all the different feeling emotional experiences that come up. Do you want to say a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So, yeah, this is somewhat erotic because when the rope is tied around a person, the parts of their body can become more sensitive. And if you use it in a relationship, um, you might want to apply other sensations on the body while it's sensitive. So some people use hot and cold and little tiny, like prickly things to give sensation to the body while it's tied up. But empathically, I learned early on in my fitness career that whenever you squeeze somebody, like their emotions come out. Originally, I did that through dance aerobics. When people would come into aerobics class for the first time, they would get really emotional and tell me their whole life story. Well, basically, the same thing happens in Shibari. And so a lot of my students end up opening up to me and telling me a lot about themselves. And early on in my life, I didn't understand anything about my empathic gifts or how to maintain a safe distance from other people's emotions. But through Shibari, I have learned how to listen to my clients and help them. I actually have a technique that I use that helps them process their emotions and gets them to what I call an actionable point. I like to help people get to a place where they're not just experiencing the emotions, but they're making next step decisions about what has come out during a session.
Oh, wow. Wow. And so do you do all this work with people in person, or you do some of this work online?
I have done this in person for 15 years, and in the last year, I have just started working with people online. And so, if you wanted to work with me online, you would have to, of course, have your own rope and your own safety shears. I have an example of them with me today, just so that you can see. But yeah, these are EMT scissors, and they're really important because it's got the little nub here. And if you were ever in an emergency situation where you need to cut rope off, you don't want to cut the body. But in addition to that, people that work with me need to have shibari rope. Pink is my favorite color, so I have a lot of pink, but it also comes in black, white, and
And you've
hemp.
got a rainbow behind you too.
I know I got the whole rainbow behind me,
I'm
but
sorry, what were you
yeah.
just going to show? It was more of a natural fiber or a natural color of the rope? What were you?
Oh, so this is hemp rope here. Um, it's a natural hemp rope that isn't dyed. All the shibari rope, you can get it in a natural color or you can get it in a dyed color. So any color that you like, you can get. And so this is 6 millimeter rope, which is the equivalent to a quarter of an inch. All my pieces are cut to 30 feet long, and I fold them in half, and that makes them 15 feet long. The reason that I fold them in half is because most of my ties start with what we call the bite of the rope, which is the middle of the rope. And so I start with this little loop right here, and that allows me to anchor things in with that. So all
Great.
that's explained in
Great.
the lessons.
No, that's great. That's great. And I'm glad that you shared some of your background of the different things you've done and what led you here. Is there anything else you want to share about your history of like how you, I guess maybe how you came to be interested in Shibari, how you came to be teaching, and then like you said a little bit of like you didn't realize your empathic skills and how to work with everything that came up with people in the beginning. Maybe share a little of your journey of how that like that showed up in you more and how you knew you wanted to work with people in this deeper way.
Mm-hmm.
And I can repeat any of that too. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's okay. So, when I was growing up, I was a ballerina, and when I became an adult, I went. I had a dance scholarship to college. I got my degree in dance kinesiology, and so with the degree in dance kinesiology, I became a dance fitness coach, and I also did personal fitness training. Some of my specialties in that area were chronic migraine headaches and nutrition. And from there, though, I eventually saw some Shibari photographs online and in the early internet days. And there was an artist out of Boston that was posting photos on the regular, and his photographs were so gorgeous that I was just like, I need to figure out how to do this. And at the time, I was in Denver, Colorado, and I started asking people that I knew, like, do you know anything about this? Do you know what I should do? And they all recommended that I go take lessons from Denver Bound. And so I studied at Denver Bound with Robert for 8 years. And I also met my wife there. And so in 2019, we moved to Florida, and now we have a studio in our home where we invite people over and teach them lessons in our home. And we also mentor people. So the empathic side really came. So, I mean, when I was young, I know I was empathic. I just didn't know what it was or how to handle it. But once I started studying Shibari, um, it it's like a controlled environment because you basically negotiate before you go in to a rope practice, and then once you're tied up, the emotions are allowed to come out and you're able to express them. And then afterwards, we spend some time in what we call aftercare, where you spend time just recapping what has happened for you and what came up. And so, in that way, I started learning how to be a better empath because when I transitioned from being the person who was being tied up to being the person who was tying other people up, I had to hold that space for them. And I could feel their emotions, but I didn't want to take them on personally. And so I learned how to just like help them process them. And I had many teachers help me with that. One of them was a Reiki teacher who taught me how to have that shield around myself as I experienced other people's emotions and then help them process them.
That's great. That's great. And I remember you, just as we were getting ready for this video, you mentioned something else about performance. I don't know if you wanted to talk about any of that here.
Yeah, well, the word shibari itself actually means performance. That's a rough translation. There's many words in Japanese for rope bondage, but shibari itself is the word that coined at the time that rope bondage was going into the theaters and starting to be performed on the stages. And because of my ballet background, I did a lot of performance when I was going through my 8 years of training. And that was really fun, getting to dress up in costume and go on stage in front of an audience and do like little skits around this particular art. I really love it. And nowadays, when I perform, it's usually like I'm at a club or a party and people are wanting to experience this art form. And so I get volunteers and I'm able to work with them. But it's really fun because in that environment, like, it's like a magician bringing somebody out of the audience. You just never know what you're going to get, but the audience loves it every single time. And so it's just like so enjoyable for me because I guess I really am a performance performer at heart. So,
That's great. That's great. And I was just thinking, for people that are interested in this and are wanting to get ready, you mentioned that they need to have the rope and they need to have the safety scissors. Do they need to have another person with them too?
well, I always say that you need one qualified safety person available at all times. So what that means is my first videos are simple ties that you can practice on yourself. And then the video series eventually has lessons where you're tying another person up. But I can tell you that if you're going to tie yourself up, it is advised that you have what we call a qualified adult in the house while you're doing it. And what that means is an adult that knows how to operate a pair of scissors. That's it. They don't have to be Shibari qualified, but I can tell you that here in my home, if I'm going to be tying myself up, I make sure that my wife is home and then I tell her, hey, I'm going to be tying myself up and leave the door of the studio open so she can hear me. And she wanders by and checks on me every once in a while and makes sure that I'm still okay. So,
That's great. That's great. Yeah, it's important that people watching have some basic safety practices. Well,
mm-hmm.
is there anything else you want to share before you share how people can reach out to you? Well, I guess maybe
um,
tell us a little bit. How do people work with you in terms of sessions? Like, what does that look like? What do you do at our events? And then how do people work with you privately?
so at the events, I want to have rope that I'm putting on during the event so that you guys can see a little bit of the action of the ties and stuff like that. One of the most important things that will be happening at the event is talking to people about their health and their ability to do this. Most people can do stuff like laying down and on their limbs fairly safely, but once you get further along, it is a little bit more like mountain climbing. And if your doctor would not recommend you climb a mountain, you probably shouldn't be targeting hanging from the ceiling. But so that's going to be a big part of the conversations, is talking to people about how how far they're going to be able to go with this art form, and who who's available to them that they can talk to about this and do this with. I'm really super lucky because I don't just do shibari, with my spouse, but I also have lots of friends, and we we go out to parties and stuff, and we do this out in the community. So there's that kind of discussion around relationships and how you step out and tell people, hey, I'm interested in this. And it's not shameful because I have lists of music videos that include shibari in, the music videos. And I have lists of people, you know, who have come to my house and have learned this art form from me. And they are teachers, parents, nurses. They come from all backgrounds. So, you just don't know who's already participating in this.
Yes, this is totally a form of coming out of the closet. So you're helping people facilitate what that is and find others and connect with community and yeah, and
Yeah.
all the emotional things that come up around that too.
Yeah, and the videos are very basic, but the camera angles are really good. I do voiceovers so that I'm describing how you tie it step by step. The advantage of the video is was out to dinner with my local community recently, and I said, "Have you ever wanted to pause me and rewind me and watch me again?" And they all said yes. So anyways, that I think is going to be the advantage of people having the video series, is when you have the time and you can do it on your own time. But in addition to that, I am available by Zoom to teach 1 hour sessions. So I prefer for you to have watched like a video or two. But if you're getting completely lost or you have some detailed questions, it would be really good to spend about an hour on Zoom where I would be tying myself, you'd be tying yourself, or a partner. You could bring a partner to these sessions, and we would be talking through, like, yeah, you're doing that correctly. No, let me explain to you what you're doing wrong so we can make it easier for you.
Great, great. Well, thank you so much. It's been lovely chatting with you. If people want to reach out to you online, get your videos, do a session, etc., where do they find you?
Um, by the end of the week, the link will be live. It is jenniferwells.org.
Okay, great. JenniferWells.org. And so it's JenniferWells.org. Great.
Yeah,
I'm so excited and
I am too.
looking forward to having you as part of our events. It's just I'm all about growth and expansion, and sometimes people have to have like come up in order to realize that there's an opportunity for them to open and grow.
Cool.
So thanks everyone for watching and learning about Jennifer and Shibari, and you can see more information about all of our events at MeWeFairs.com. Thank you so much, Jennifer.
Thank you.